Have you ever wondered what the best and easiest finish is to put on America's finest hardwood? Or maybe you're wondering what is America's finest hardwood? Well, stick around. We'll get to it. Welcome to the shop. I'm excited to get into this topic because it's really one of my favorite things about woodworking is actually the finishing stage. And I've messed around over almost 35 years with all kinds of finishes, but I always come back to my favorite, and that is shellac. And what is America's finest hardwood? Walnut, my friends. It is American walnut. If you're not in America, this maybe would be like an exotic wood to you, but we take it for granted. It's right here. We always think we've got to import something magnificent from some foreign country to get the most beautiful exotic material in the world. But it's right here. It's growing, a lot of it in the Midwest, down in the Southeast. We don't have as much of it around here in the Northeast of US, but it is stunning, a beautiful wood to work with. Now, of course, it's subjective, I know. You're probably saying, hey, I know what's more beautiful than walnut. Well, maybe you do. Maybe you have your favorite, and beauty is in the eye of the beholder. But all in all, for working it and the effects and the beauty, the texture, it's hard to beat. George Nakashima and Sam Maloof, it's no accident that their favorite wood to work with was American walnut. So now that we've gotten into the walnut, I want to share with you a finish that I'm as or more excited about, and that is shellac. What is shellac? What I love about shellac is that it's a natural material. Most finishes are just some sort of resin, some sort of hard resin that cures on the surface. Some just cure as the solvent evaporates, and others cure as part of like a chemical reaction, like some varnishes. Actually, there's a reaction and it changes properties and is stable. But evaporative finishes like shellac go on with, they're diluted with denatured alcohol, and then they go into liquid. You put them on and you get this evaporative curing. So because they just evaporate, you can reactivate them, or the successive coats actually go on as a liquid, and they melt in just a little bit to the previous layer, becoming a whole new layer, almost like a seamless layer with the one below. Now, the cool thing about shellac is that it's actually made from the excretion of the lac bug. I mean, billions of them, and this excretion,
so yummy.
It goes on to branches on a particular tree that is very popular with these lac bugs, and a lot of it's grown and harvested in India and Southeast Asia, but check this out. This is what it looks like in the raw form. This is called stick lac. I'm going to put it on the table so you can see it better. This is broken right off the branches of the trees. This is totally unrefined lacquer, okay? But it's the excretion hardened. Let me see how. Maybe there's a stick in here somewhere of the lac bug. Oh yeah, look at this. So this is why they call it stick lac. See that? There's a stick going all the way through that. It's like caramel candy, except it's hard, right? But it's cool because when you smell it, you can almost smell that lacquer, shellac. Now, can you see the slight orangish tint on some of these? So this is in its crudest form. So it's kind of, they go through a process where it's heated. Some is in tubes, but it's warmed and it melts. And this is one of the more crude versions. This is called button lac. Can you guess why they call it button lac? So they squeeze it through this like filtered cloth after it's been melted and make these little globs like cookies. And this is the most unrefined. So we're going right from the stick lac to this button lac. And this is great shellac. You can just dissolve this in the alcohol, like denatured alcohol, and you'll have a wonderful shellac, fresh and good. Looks like molasses. And then, as it's refined further, there's ways they get it into the flake form. Let's just put some down here. And this is, can you guess? Orange shellac. So this is more in the flake, and it's been refined. So you start refining out some of the color, but you got this really rich, warm color here. Now, the last one is blonde shellac, and this is also in the flake, but it's even more refined. So as it gets more and more refined, it gets clearer in color. Now, there's a natural wax in shellac, in that excretion from the lac bug. So a lot of times it's just kept in there and it works wonderfully as a finish. But they can de-wax it in the process. So some will specify that they've had the wax removed from the shellac. So why is that important? Well, if you want to top coat shellac, it's an amazing finish to be compatible with other finishes. So you could have this on the surface and top coat it with a varnish, even a urethane that would hold on it. But if you kept the wax in there, then you're risking that you're not going to have a great bond or adhesion between coats, and you could have it flaking off. So there you are. Now, those are the raw forms of shellac. And thanks to our friends at Wood Finishing Enterprises, I have these. They sent me these maybe a couple of years ago. But that's the cool thing. This stays in great shape. If you keep it cool and dry, it stays for a very long time in the flake form. And when you mix it into the alcohol, it's fresh and it'll stay good for up to a year shelf life. Now, you may never have seen this. You may have always thought, I thought shellac came in a can like this. Well, that is true. That's how mostly, this is the way I first encountered it. It was in a can, and we used to use a lot of the Zinsser Bullseye shellac at Pugs. It's so much more convenient. It's the same stuff, but it's mixed up already for you, so it's super easy to use. And then this is the orange. This is the blonde. So you've got, look at this is kind of the clear and the orange. These both, however, have wax in them. But then as you get more to the full, this is the full refined, this is a wax-free version of the same product called seal coat. So if you want to use it as a sealer and top coat with other finishes, this is a wonderful finish. The other thing great about it is you can tint it and it dries fast. You can put on multiple coats. It seals in things. It's just such a great finish. I want to now mix a little up and show you how this goes. Now, one other way you can buy this, by the way, is in an aerosol can. So you can just spray it like paint, but you don't get as much for your money, obviously, when you do this. And I can tell they've added a little something in there that it smells different than the typical shellac. But here's how you mix it. If you want to buy your own, I do recommend Wood Finishing Enterprises, by the way. They're not a sponsor in any way. They just have an amazing supply of shellac. You can get the flakes a lot of places, but these guys, I mean, right down to the stick lac, it's very reasonably priced. You can find a lot of places, but I would recommend going there. You can check them on the links we provided. Just to show you this. Now, the way this works is if there's a pound in here, yeah, this comes as a pound, okay? A pound of flakes melted into 1 gallon of alcohol makes what they call a 1 pound cut. So this would dissolve in 1 gallon and you have a fairly thin mixture. 2 pounds of shellac in 1 gallon is a 2 pound cut, and 3 pounds of flakes is, yes, you got it, a 3 pound cut. And interestingly, these come as a 3 pound cut. So it's kind of a thicker liquid, these two. However, the seal coat comes as a 2-pound cut. Now, why is that important? Well, for workability. You want to thin it down. I like to work it and use it at about a 1.5 pound cut. 1.5 to 2 pounds tops. It starts to get too thick, more than that. So you'll find at 1.5 pounds, it sprays beautifully. I spray it with a spray gun a lot. And you can brush it out really nicely, which I'm going to show you here in a second. So just here's how easy it is to mix up. Let's say I want a 1.5 pound cut, but I don't want to melt a whole pound. So I'm going to think about it. All right, I'm going to divide a pound, which is 16 ounces, by 16. That gives me 1 ounce. So I just need 1 ounce of weight of this, and dividing 128 ounces of liquid by 16, I get 8 ounces. So 1 ounce weight to 8 ounces measured. Why do we have these confusing fluids and weights? Same ounces. But that will equal a 1 pound cut. Now, if I put 1 ounce of this into only 4 ounces, so half that amount, I'd have a 2 pound cut. But I'm shooting right from between, so I'm going to put 1 ounce into 6 ounces of alcohol to give me my 1.5 pound cut. All right, so I'm going to just set it on a little digital scale here that I stole from the camera lady. Is this going to work? Can you turn it? Oh, there we go. All right, I'm going to zero it out, just like that. Whoops. Okay, there it is. I'm at 0. Now it's already calculated for the weight. I'm going to just add until I get, this is just fraction of an ounce. Just go up till I get 1. There it is, 1 ounce. Okay, this is the pound. So there, I've got 1 ounce of flakes. Now I'm going to put in denatured alcohol. Okay, I'm just going to go 1.5 of this. I know it's pretty forgiving. So I'll get my 6 ounces. I'm just going to eyeball this. That's close enough. It's not that exacting. That look a good half. So now I would stir that up, and you see it's still flakes. And because the flakes are pretty thin, it doesn't take too long for this to dissolve after a while. And I've got some already dissolved back here. Let's bring it out. This is the exact same mix we just made, okay? See that? You've got that good mix. And look how orange it is on the side. This is what you see on the Craftsman style furniture on white oak. This is actually a white oak stick that I'm stirring with. So that's the classic kind of Craftsman color. Now they would fume the white oak, so it would be darker brown, but then the orange would add that kind of Craftsman warmth. So there I've got that, and in this other one here, jar. In this jar, I have some of the blonde shellac here. Okay, this I mixed up on, I always label it. So this is wax-free shellac, and I mixed it on 1223. So just a couple months ago, and that's going to last me plenty long. But that's this, wow. About 1.5 pounds. So that's that. Now, with these, I can brush on, I can spray it on, I can do whatever. But just to show you the difference, here, let's just use this brush in the blonde, and let's just put a little on a piece of pine like this, so you can see the actual effect. So 1 coat is not going to do much. This is practically clear, right? You're really not seeing much. There's a very slight amber tint there, but not a lot going on, okay? Let's check the orange. It's not going to actually be too much more, but you're going to notice, more than likely, a little greater warmth. Okay, so let's just brush on the orange. You see that? Ooh. See, that's looking pretty nice. Now you can recoat this, like, if you have good drying conditions, usually I let it go for 2 hours. And you can lightly sand it, and if you're seeing a powder, you can recoat it. But look at that. See how you've got more amber color there, and just pretty clear on this side. So when you're working with lighter colored woods, You might use one of orange, but you wouldn't want to do too much more. But that's a great finish actually for pine, which is notoriously difficult to finish because it can absorb and be blotchy. This is white pine, but it can take a finish beautifully. Now, on darker woods like walnut, here's a piece of raw walnut. This is what it looks like. You'd think maybe it would be more brown, but it's not. It has almost a purplish hue, especially the air-dried variety. So this has been just air-dried. It wasn't kiln-dried, and it has that kind of purplish color to it. Now, the kiln-dried, unfortunately, what they do to a lot of it when they kiln-dry it is steam it while it's being dried. And that causes the brown heartwood color to bleed into the sapwood, which is quite a bit different. It's whitish, just like it is for cherry. So it kind of bleeds into the white sapwood, and it makes it hard to tell where you have the sapwood, which is not the best color. It feels as hard, but they can kind of stretch that way. But the worst part of kiln dried is that it grays it out a little bit, and I just find it less rich. So if you can find walnut that's been air dried, that's what you want to get, okay? Let's just, for kicks, let's put some of this orange shellac that I just mixed up a little earlier today. So this is as fresh as it gets from the flakes. We made our own, all right? I'm just going to come up here. Now this is just the first coat, but look at what happens. See how it transforms?
Amazing.
It gets it to this really nice warm color. Now the amber in the shellac, if you know your color wheel, the yellow is opposite of purple. So amber in the shellac family, the amber warms up that coldish purple color of the shellac, of the walnut. And a couple more coats of this, and it gets so beautiful and rich. I mean, it's going to end up being like this. Now, one of the other features of walnut that makes it so desirable and really the finest American hardwood is the color, how it changes over time. Unlike cherry, mahogany, some other woods that get darker over time, walnut mellows and gets a little lighter. It develops this rich kind of honey-like patina through the brown over time. And it's so warm and inviting a wood to live with too. So it's not going to darken like you think. So you don't have to add a lot of yellow to it. I try not to put too much on there, but I would let this dry and then another coat. Because like here's some I did a little earlier. You'll feel it's dry, and then you'll take a very fine sandpaper. Like I usually like to hit it with 320. I don't think I have. I'm looking for my beat down. I have a piece of beat down. Oh, here it is. So you can use 220 if it's worn. And then see when I hit it, how it's powdering up a little bit?
Yeah.
Once you see it powder up, then you know it's dry, and then you can hit it with another. So I hit this earlier. Let's hit it with an amber and see how it's going to get a little richer with each coat. Nice, huh? You'll find that shellac is compatible with, you can use it. I've never confronted a wood that I could not use it on. In fact, the wax-free will go over a lot of finishes too. So it's a simple way, especially if you already had shellac on there some time ago, you can recoat it and it'll melt in. You want to clean it first with probably mineral spirits and fine steel wool, dry it off, and then you can just go ahead.
And the choice between waxed or non-waxed, when do you choose which?
If you're going to top coat it with a finish that you know is not compatible, like a varnish, you can go over the top of it if it's wax-free. I mean, more and more I'm seeing the wax-free is available, but you can notice when you're rubbing it out that there is wax in it. I just noticed that if I know I'm like on a chair, like chairs, you're never going to need a protective coat on it. If you're going to top coat it with something, then you want to go with the wax-free, but if you're not, I just go with the regular. I often would just use this type of shellac, and you rub it out with steel wool at the end, and it's friendlier to that treatment with the wax in it. So it's all a matter of what you're going to top coat it with if you're worried about compatibility with the successive layers. I wanted you to see my little drawers on my cabinet. I have not finished these, but this is the raw form. When I made these, actually during a Shop Night Live not long ago, made these little tiny drawers and out of white pine, and made a groove for them to slide on rails because I didn't pre-think this, and I didn't have dividers here, but I realized it was kind of a big space and it could use these. So these were more of an afterthought, but this is the walnut. I left it unfinished. They've been up here for like a year and a half, so they've actually mellowed a little bit, and when I put the finish on, it was already really nice. So one of the things you can do, if the walnut looks dead or gray like it's been steamed, you can add, after you put on a couple coats of shellac, you can put a glazing stain. I usually use burnt umber to give that rich color, but this already has it. You know, this has that rich color because it's air dried. So this is all I did here was this is one coat of the clear, 2 coats of the clear, and then this one has 2 coats of the clear, and the last coat I used the orange. So see how it has that orange, like warmer look to it? So I've got to catch these up, and we'll have this rich kind of look. And usually the final treatment is to burnish it with a fine steel wool, like a 4/0. I've got some in a roll here. Got this online, it's pretty cheap. Breaks down pretty fast, but it's fine 4/0. You can also get it in the pad form. And you're just gonna burnish it, you know, till it looks soft, like a soft sheen, and then usually I'll just go over it with a wax after that, and it brings back the full color. It has this gorgeous, soft gloss.
How do you avoid lap marks with shellac applied with a brush?
Yeah, that's a great question. You really don't sometimes. The key is to have the pound cut right. That's why I suggest 1.5 pounds. It'll go on thin. You don't want to keep going over it. You want to have a good brush. So this is a good quality, I believe a natural bristle. And I see the S on there. I only use it for shellac. So this is, the nice thing is if you forget to clean it, it's no problem. You just stick it in submerge it in some denatured alcohol, and it softens up the shellac, and you can clean that brush right out. It comes right back to life. So what was the question again? Oh, the brush marks. Yeah, so in full confession here, I don't brush it on very often. David Lamb, a friend of mine, has been doing it over 40 years. Brushing it on, great success. You're gonna get some lap marks, but the nice thing is, between coats, you can lightly sand with even 220. Once you got a little build on there, 320 is better. And you can lightly sand with a felt block and like this, and it will actually take the ridges off. So no worries, then you're gonna put on another coat. Eventually you'll have enough built on there, and you can final level sand and then hit it with the steel wool. So I never worry about drip marks or sag marks when you see them because they sand out. Then you can recoat and it just melts right in. And even after the final coat, you're gonna just level those, any kind of marks, and then hit it with the steel wool, and it looks gorgeous. It's so forgiving, fast drying. It's a wonderful finish.
How many coats do you recommend? Is that
yeah, thanks.
Or?
So on this one, I've got 3 coats to this point. I would say a minimum of 3, and you'll get this type of result. I hope you enjoyed that little trip thinking about the finest American hardwood, in my humble opinion, and probably the finest finish available to us these days. And it's one of the oldest, so it's so nice to work with shellac, and we've got some other videos you can connect with there. But in the meantime, thank you for hanging out with us a little bit in the
Yes.
shop. On behalf of the camera lady and myself, we look forward to seeing you next time, right back here on Shop Night Live. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody. Thanks so much. Have a great week.